everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I'm back, and I'm here to tell you about giving birth. So I had my second child, my son, Jack, 3 weeks ago now. Almost 4. He's gonna be a month old next week, which seems like it's not allowed or real, but it's true. Time passes. So I thought I would just tell you about my whole experience giving birth. This is a very positive birth story, so if that's something that you're looking for, welcome. I think it's really important to share positive birth stories. Obviously, I think it is important for people to share when they've had a traumatic time as well, because that can be part of the healing process. But when you are a first-time mom, or even not a first-time mom, even just like, you're pregnant and you're getting ready to give birth, it can be really scary and really hard to hear people having people's negative experiences. And so I wanted to share a positive experience with you so that you can maybe feel a little bit more confident going into your birthing journey. So let's rewind back in time to what even was the date. March 3rd was a Sunday. I started having contractions. I then had contractions for the entire next week, which was really annoying. But so I was having contractions. I was like, okay, cool. They would stop. Next day, same thing. They would stop. Next day, same thing. They would stop. Wednesday, I had an appointment and I got checked and I was at a 2 and 80% effaced. And so I was like, okay, that seems like cool. That seems like good amount, good progress, right? My doctor was like, as much as I would love to just send you to the hospital right now, I can't, because it's against the law in Oregon and Washington to induce somebody before 39 weeks, even if it's really close to 39 weeks. And even if you feel like it would be good for them, you have to have a very specific medical reason. Otherwise, it's against the law, which I honestly kind of disagree with, but whatever, I'm not the lawmaker. So she could not send me to the hospital then. I was scheduled for the induction that next Sunday, March 10th. That was on March, what, 6th? Question mark? Yes, March 6th. My sister's birthday. Anyway, so yeah, so I was at a 2 and I was 80% effaced. There was a little bit of bloody show when she checked me. She did a little membrane sweep with my permission. She asked me if I wanted to and I said yes. And so I was like, okay, cool. We'll go from there. Next morning, Thursday, I had contractions all day long. Then they stopped. I was feeling really frustrated. And I said to my husband, we should just go on a date because I feel really frustrated and we need something to distract ourselves. So we went and saw Dune 2 because we were both really looking forward to it. And I liked it, by the way. I thought it was good. It did not, if you were wondering, if you've watched my other videos, it did not reinvigorate me to finish the Dune series reading it. But I am looking forward to when the next movie comes out. So take that as you will. Anyway, during the movie, I went to the bathroom about 1 million times. One of the times that I went to the bathroom, there was like a ton of bloody show. And so I was like, okay, cool. Here we go. This is it. I'm going to go into labor. And then I had really strong contractions during the movie. And I was like, okay, sweet. I'll go into labor while watching Dune. That sounds like a dream. That sounds fun. Like what a cool story. Yeah, no, they stopped. I didn't go into labor that night. I had more bloody show the next day. And that day, my parents arrived. They were going to stay until Monday. They later extended it to Tuesday, by the way, because he was born on Monday. Spoiler alert. Saturday, I woke up with a migraine, and I was like, crap. I need to not have a migraine right now because I'm supposed to be induced tomorrow, and I won't be going to labor. And yeah, nothing that I did helped, and we were like, okay, maybe we should just go into the hospital for my migraine, and maybe they'll just let me stay. Maybe I'll just be progressing up. They'll just be like, we'll keep you. That's what I was really hoping for. We went in, they gave me, well, first they checked me and I was at a 4 and 80% effaced. So I was like, oh, cool, I've made progress. And they're like, okay, we'll give you this medicine for your migraine and see if it will help you. And then we might be able to keep you if you start having stronger contractions and if you've like progressed enough while you're here. So I was like, okay, sweet. So I was planning on like bouncing on the ball and stuff. Yeah, no, the medication they gave me was like extremely strong and wiped me out completely. I was like dead to the world for the next hour and a half, 2 hours. I could not wake up. I couldn't move. I actually kind of hated it. Then I woke up, bounced on the ball a little bit. They came back in. They're like, all right, let's check you and see if you've progressed enough because your contractions aren't strong enough for us to keep you. But if you've progressed enough, we can. I was at a 5. I was halfway there. I was at a 5 and 80% effaced. They're like, let's go talk to hospital administration. They come back, they're like, we're really sorry. The doctor says to me, I want to keep you. I think we should keep you. But hospital administration won't let me. How insane is that? hospital administration is the one who chose whether or not I had a baby that day. So, thanks for them not letting me stay. So we went home, which was really, really frustrating. The next day was Sunday, the day I was supposed to be induced. They called me in the morning and they said, we're full. So we're going to hope to get you in bed this afternoon. If you don't hear from us by 4 p.m., call us. Like, okay, sounds good. Did not hear from them by 4 p.m. We went to Costco. We walked around. Called them at 4 p.m. They said, okay, you can come in at 7:30. We'll get you started. We'll get your induction started. I was like, sweet. 45 minutes later, they call me. Never mind. Somebody in active labor came in, which means that we don't have a nurse for you, so we can't induce you. And maybe we can get you in by 10 p.m. if somebody delivers. So you might hear from us by 10 p.m. or we'll just call you tomorrow morning. And I'm like, okay. Did not hear from them by 10 p.m. Next morning rolls around, Monday morning. They call me and they say, we're full again. At this point, I was like, please, just let me have this baby. I was so done. My parents were supposed to leave the next day, and I was like, or wait, no, that was Monday. My parents were supposed to leave that day, and they were like, we'll stay till Tuesday because you haven't had the baby yet. I'm like, my parents are leaving. I want them to be here. I want them to be able to meet my son. I just am so ready to have this baby. Like, get this baby out of me. And so they're like, we'll try to get you by 3 p.m. And I'm like, okay, great. And then I hang up, and I'm like, we're taking matters into our own hands. So I walked around outside in our field for like a couple of hours and my parents walked around with me and they helped me watch my daughter and stuff. My husband had to go back to work too on Monday and he was working from home, but still it was like he had to work during this because he was like, well, I can't not, I mean, I have to have the time for when he's actually here, so I can't take it off right now. So we walked around a ton. I bounced on the ball a ton. I was having like the mildest of mild contractions, but I was like, it's good enough, right? Like, let's just go in. Let's just go in. So we went in. They're like, yeah, you're having contractions. We'll keep you. And we'll just go from there. So I was like, yes. So this was around noon. They gave me a little pill called miso. I had never heard of it before, and it went in my cervix, and they said it was like to help soften the cervix, and if you've had a baby before, it can cause contractions. I was still at a 5, by the way, and 80% based. So they gave me that little pill. And they're like, we can't officially start an induction like with Pitocin until 5:30 because the pill was like a 4-hour thing. So I guess they gave me the pill at like 1:30. And they were like, so we can't start you officially until 5:30, but we're just going to see how it goes and maybe we'll give you contractions and stuff. So yeah, so I started having more and more contractions. I ate lunch. It was really yummy. The hospital food there was actually really good, so that was a win. So I had lunch. They were starting to get a little bit more painful. My husband did counter pressure on my hips, and I was like bouncing on the ball this entire time, and that was really awesome. Oh yeah, then around 4:30 I got into the bath. They have jetted tubs there, and I was really looking forward to that. And so I got into the bath, and they were getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I asked my husband, I was like, when do you think the best time to get an epidural would be? Because they hadn't given me anything in an IV. They put my IV in so that it would be like ready when I needed it, but they didn't give me fluids or anything yet. And so they told me like, hey, if you want an epidural, you just have to know it's gonna be like an hour from when you say, hey, I want epidural to when you actually get the epidural, because we have to give you fluids first, and then they give you the epidural, and then it takes a while for it to kick in. And so I was like, when do you think the best time would be for me to do this? Because I don't want to wait too long. And then right after I said that, I had such a strong contraction. I was like, right now is the best time. So I got out of the tub, called the nurse. We were like, hey, we want to get the epidural started. And she's like, okay, cool. So she came in. She was so lovely, by the way, such a nice lady. And she started the fluids. They put the bag really high up so that the fluids would go in fast. And the anesthesiologist came in and he was like, let me do paperwork with you before you get like in too much pain that you can't do the paperwork. And I was like, sounds good. So we did the paperwork, started getting things going. The fluids only took about like 15 minutes to kick in. And then he got the epidural started, and I was so grateful that I got that when I did, because my contractions were incredibly painful and they were coming right after another, and the anesthesiologist actually was like, it's really good that you called me when you did, because your window was like about to close. Like I was about to not be able to give you an epidural because you wouldn't be able to sit still because your contractions were so strong, and one after another. And so then it was about 6 o'clock. And the epidural started kicking in. I was feeling a lot more relaxed. The doctor came in and was like, okay, let's get you checked and see where you're at. And, you know, then you should take a nap because you need rest. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And she checked me and I was at a 7 and like 90% effaced. And so that was good news. I had made really good progression. So yeah, my contractions did not slow down at all. They were still happening like one right after another, and they broke my water when they checked me. And so once my water was broken, I was like, ooh, I can feel these contractions again. I could feel the pressure. Like he immediately started moving down a lot more once that water was broken, which happens a lot. And so I told him like, hey, I'm feeling a lot more pressure. They checked me while I was laying down, and it was a student midwife who was working with me, and then she had a midwife with her as well. But yeah, they checked me while I was laying down, and so she thought that I was complete. And so she was like, you can start pushing. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure if I'm ready. But they were like, but I was like, maybe I'll try. And they're like, okay, and if you need to like just stop and wait a while, that's totally fine. And it's totally up to you. You don't have to push right now. Whatever you want to do. They were so wonderful about advocating for me, which I know that's something a lot of people get nervous about giving birth in a hospital, and not every hospital staff will be like that, but I will say like this hospital staff was amazing, and they made me feel so okay and so strong and so powerful, and they gave me so many options, and they were really wonderful about educating me about what position I could push in, and just really helpful to me. So I really appreciated that. So I did a few pushes and I was like, this just doesn't feel quite right. And I was kind of sitting up like in a throne position, and then I had like one leg up. And they're like, okay, let's check you again. Let's just double check. So she checked me again and she was like, oh, I think I checked you while you were having contraction, and the angle that you were at, you're actually not complete. You're at an 8. And so that's why the pushing didn't feel quite right, was because I was pushing against my cervix still. And so they're like, okay, let's give it a little more time. It probably won't be too long, but let's, you know, just try to rest and relax. They're like, do you want to lay back down? I was like, no, I'll just stay kind of sitting up. Speak of the devil. Just kidding, he's not the devil. He's the sweetest little boy. Anyway, so that was probably at about like 6:30. So then about a half hour later, I was like, oh, there it is. That's it. I feel a lot of pressure. I'm feeling ready to push now. And so they came back in and we got everything all set up and ready to go. And so yeah, I started pushing at about 7:20-ish, and I pushed for about 10 minutes. He was born at 7:32. I had mild tearing. They said it was abrasions? Laceration? I can't remember what word they used, but they said it was basically like road rash. And so they still did give me a few stitches, but not very many. So it was just like pretty mild tearing. And yeah, he was here. He was born 6 pounds, 10 ounces. He is now 9 pounds. So he is chunking up fast. He's a good grower, and 19 inches long. And it was just wonderful. It was a wonderful experience, and it was really, it's just always so special to give birth. It's a feeling like none other. Just the moment you hear that baby cry, it's just so powerful and so sweet, and it really just reminds you of everything that's important to you. And so yeah, so it was really just wonderful. You know, I had my husband by my side the entire time, and he was so incredibly helpful and so empowering. My husband always makes me feel strong, and he always tells me that I'm stronger than I think I am, and I always feel like I can accomplish more with him. And so that was really wonderful. My mom was able to be there, and that was really wonderful as well. And then visiting hours were actually over at like 8 p.m. And we asked them, we were like, hey, is there any way that my dad can come in and meet him even though it's past the visiting hours, because my parents had to leave the next morning at like 6 in the morning. And so they were like, yeah, no worries, like your dad can totally come in. And so my dad was able to come in and meet him at like 10 p.m. They were so tired. I felt so bad, and then they had an 11-hour drive home the next day. But yeah, so both my parents were able to meet him, which was just really wonderful. And then his big sister came and met him the next day, and it was so sweet. She just giggled at him and then gave him hugs and kisses, and she's obsessed with him now. Every morning, the first thing she does when she wakes up is she runs into our room and goes, hi buddy, and it's so sweet. and she just loves him. And he's such a sweet boy. He's a really calm baby, and so yeah, we're just living that newborn bliss life, and I am so grateful. Just so grateful to have another baby. I'll show you him. Here, stop drinking for a second. He's like, excuse me, Mom? I am hungry? Why would you take away my milk? Here he is. He doesn't like that. He's wearing his very cute veggies outfit. Has cute little vegetables on it. Very, very cute. So that's it. That is my positive hospital birth story. I'm just grateful. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And I'm excited to come back to YouTube. I have some fun ideas. I have some fun video ideas. So I think there will be some good things coming soon. I can't guarantee a super set schedule because, you know, my life is chaos. I have 202 and that's okay. So I'll see you when I see you, and thank you for being here. Bye!